Hi, my name is Odegaard, and this is my welcome video for English 101, fall of 2021. um, Basically, this video is to kind of answer some of the questions you might have kind of about the first week's assignments and just some basic things about the class. It's not going to be as comprehensive as, say, the first Zoom meeting that we have, where I'm going to go, break down policies in greater detail. But this should at least get you started if you are, interested in getting a head start or something like that. The video also is going to have two parts. The second part I'll kind of dive into a little bit more what I'm trying to do with the class and a little bit of background on me. If you want to skip that part, you totally can, and I'll tell you when the second part is going to start. Okay, so let's get started with the first part. The first thing I want to talk about is the textbook. There's only one textbook that you have to buy in this class, and it's called Garbology. It's by Edward Humes, and you're not even going to need it the first week of class. So if you don't have the funds to get it right this minute, that's actually not a horrible thing. You're going to need it by October 4th, though, so you're going to want to plan for that. The other two textbooks that I'm going to be using for the class are going to be linked to the Canvas shell, so they're online texts. One's a PDF, and the other one is actually on Google Docs. I'm really looking forward this semester to see what you have to say about all of the material that I've chosen for this class. I'm interested to see how you respond to the assignments and how we can kind of take these assignments and try and make them your own in a sense, especially like, let's say, the first major writing assignment and the last major writing assignment, the last couple of writing assignments. I really want to show you how to take writing and cultivate your own voice and um, make it so that it's not just, I'm having to do this thing for a college class, because I know that can get sort of really boring, and who wants to do that? So because I think really writing is about sort of finding your authentic voice and also sort of learning how to adapt that voice to a more professional setting, and that's the other sort of portion of this class. Um, but I'll get more into that in a bit. As far as the assignments are concerned, I will admit there's kind of a lot. There's four. Um, you've got an icebreaker assignment, which I don't think is too difficult to do. It's in the form of a discussion board, and the initial post of that is going to be due on Wednesday. That's a check-in assignment. In other words, if you don't complete that icebreaker assignment, you get dropped from the class. So when I say check-in assignment, that's what I mean. We're also having a discussion board on this TED Talk. The TED Talk is embedded right in the discussion board. So all you have to do is click on the YouTube video and listen to the TED Talk, and then sort of choose one of the questions or a couple of the questions to respond. I also have a survey. That survey is not going to be in a discussion format, so you're just sending your responses to the survey. I've got a series of questions that I want to find out about you, to get to know you, find out how to adapt the class to what's going on with the students in the class, and that's part of the reason behind the survey. And then I have a syllabus quiz, just because I want people to look at the syllabus and get familiar with the syllabus. So there's those four assignments. The initial posts for the icebreaker and the discussion board are going to be due on Wednesday. The survey and the syllabus quiz are going to be due on Friday. Okay. And the responses to because the icebreaker and the discussion board are both you have to respond to students as well. Those are going to be due on Friday as well. So everything's pretty much due on Wednesday and Friday of this week. And I don't know that that's going to be every single week, but that's, at least for this week, how it has sort of panned out. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of my video. And if you want to learn more about the class, keep watching. If not, you can sign off right now. Okay, part 2. Let me introduce myself. I think I already said my name's Eric Odegaard, but I'll do it again. what to call me. You can call me Eric, I don't mind. You can call me Professor Odegaard. You can call me Professor O, Mr. O. I'm not a doctor. I haven't earned a PhD, so I'm not Dr. O. Um, and that's something I wanted to get into a little bit, is sort of my academic history. I, just like you, started at a community college. I started at Mount Sac. Neither of my parents went to college. They, you know, they worked pretty working class jobs. My dad worked in a factory. My mom worked retail. And I was the first of three siblings, so I didn't have anybody to turn to try to figure out how to do this college thing. But who I did turn to were the people that worked at these various institutions, whether it was counselors, whether it was instructors, whether it was support staff. I reached out to them and I tried to figure out how to do this thing of being successful at college. And it took me a while, but that's one thing that I want to emphasize is the importance of reaching out to support. I think we go into a situation, and at least I did. I went into the situation feeling like I needed to have all the answers already. And I also felt like if I asked questions, that made me look dumb. That made me look stupid. I want to tell you right now that the smartest people are the ones asking the most questions. Why? Because that's kind of how you advance yourself if you don't understand a situation. And you might feel like, oh, that makes, it doesn't look good on you or whatever. As far as I'm concerned, I love it when students ask questions in a class, because that shows to me that they're engaged with what I'm talking about and they want to know more. So no one in an academic institution is going to look down on you, at least not from staff and faculty and counselors and everything. Nobody's going to look down on you for asking a question. And I feel like it's one of the most key jobs that I can, key parts of my job, I should say, is answering questions, no matter what the question is. And I love answering questions. That's one of the reasons why I do this job. So I started at Mount Sac, got my AA there, went on to Cal State Fullerton, where I got my bachelor's degree in English, and then I went to Claremont Graduate University, which is one of the Claremont schools. That's a private school. And then I went to UC Riverside, and I did some doctoral work, meaning I worked on a PhD, but I didn't finish the PhD. And why do I bring this up? I bring this up because I've been to a community college, a Cal State, a private school, and a UC. Not to say, I'm a baller or whatever, but just to say, if you're interested in knowing what are those different types of institutions like, and you want to pick my brain about it, how are they different? I'm another voice besides the counselors. Of course, you can ask counselors, you can ask other instructors. You want to be asking these kinds of questions, because if you're trying to figure out what's your next move, where do you transfer? What do you do? How do you do it? You want to ask as many questions as you can to get a sense of where you're going, because you're not here because you want to stay here. You're here because you want to get out of here. You want to get that bachelor's degree and you want to move into a career or whatever it is your goals are. But my suggestion is that the way that you do that the best is to ask questions. One last thing I wanted to talk about is, what's the point of English 101? What are we doing here? Why do we have to take this class? Maybe I'm exaggerating your position here when I say it like that. For me, English 101 is about learning how to write with a professional voice. I don't think that we come into English 101, most students don't come into English 101 with already a solid professional voice to their writing. And that professional voice is something that's really helpful on job applications, whether it's writing a letter of interest and saying, hey, I'm interested in this job or this internship, writing a letter. Maybe you're trying to transfer to a UC, you're writing a letter. Every semester, or at least every spring, I help students with their personal statements for the UCs, because I've done some training on that. Writing, trying to express yourself using a different voice, a more elevated, more polished voice, is exactly what this class is about. It's also about kind of thinking differently, using critical thinking skills. And all these things are super important for advancing your career. So it may not feel like, and this is true for all the classes that you're going to take, at Citrus. It may not feel like that a lot of the stuff that you're taking is relevant. I remember feeling that same way when I was a student, like, why am I taking this? It may not be immediately obvious to you why it's relevant, but as you go through your academic career, it will become more and more relevant. And it's about sort of changing the way that you think, not necessarily learning a bunch of facts. We think, well, if I take this class, I'm just going to forget all this stuff that I learned. Yeah, you might forget the individual facts, but taking the class actually changes the way that you interact with the world, the way that you take it in, and it gives you critical thinking skills that take time to develop. So this may not be the most convincing sell on this class, but that's the reason you're taking this class. The class is about all those things. I want to say one last thing, and that is, please, if you have questions about anything, no matter how big, how small, how technical, if I don't have the answer, I'll go look for it. And if I do have the answer, of course, I'm always willing to share. Thanks so much for listening. Take care.